Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Mercenary Tier 10 Premium Heavy Tank, the Rogal Dorn. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Rogal Dorn, it is one of the Warhammer 40,000 premium tanks that came out a wee while ago. They'll be back from Thursday, as stated in the article. It was released on Tuesday, I think it was, or Monday, or one of the two. And the Rogal Dorn, it is a super expensive premium tank. I think it's similar to the Nemesis and the Lehman Russ in price at 17,000 gold or something in that region. And that is crazy pricing. It really, really is. So, is it worth it in terms of gold price? Hell no. You should never pay that much money for a tank inside this game. Quite honestly, it's far, far too much money. But as a tank, we are going to cover it. Same as we're going to cover all the other tanks in the Warhammer collaboration. Because every single time these tanks do come up, people always ask for videos on them. So here we are with Mr. Rogal Dorn. And this tank is a bonkers damage dealer. The armour on it is exceptionally hit and miss because the cupolas are really easy to pen. If you shoot the lower plate in the higher section, you've got about 230, 240 pen, you can go through that. And if you're a tier 10 or a tier 9 firing premium, you can go through the little side cheek spots as well. And quite a few spots, to be honest, on the Rogal Dorn. Again, you can check out my tank review from when this first came out and stuff like that. And I've got other videos that show all sorts of stuff about the Rogal Dorn. And this tank has 2 main modes for its gun choices. And that is, if you change the turret, you will either have this combination, which is what you're going to see in this video, the single shotgun with a multi-weapon system auto-loader, or you can have a double barrel system gun, which just works like the rest of the Soviet double barrels, you know, and that has meme potential. But in terms of being good for the tank, this is the best system for me personally. This is the best system for the tank. Run the multi-weapon system with the 4-shot autoloader, and then use this big slapping gun as well. Why? Because the big main gun has better penetration on its standard, as well as having fantastic premium rounds. And then you've got this 4-shot autoloader, which is also sublime at picking up damage, because it has 182 penetration on this autoloader, which is actually pretty good for a multi-weapon system, when a lot of the multi-weapon systems in World War II aren't that great, whereas on this tank, it's insanely good. So, the downside is this tank is slow. This tank is very slow, so it struggles to get to the fight quite a lot. But boy, when it gets to the fight, it's disgustingly good. It's one of those tanks that can go from 0 damage to 4, 5, 6,000 very, very fast when it gets stuck into a brawl. Because, yeah, it's quite easy to take out compared to the Lehman Russ, but the damage potential of the main gun and the autoloader is just mental. It really is. So, the Rogal Dorn, it's got a 33 km/h top speed with the build that I run, and a 13.2 km/h reverse speed, 800 horsepower engine, which is 8.9 horsepower per ton ratio. Which, as you can see, means it's incredibly slow, and it is very, very sluggish at getting to its top speed. You basically never see it. The reason I run the clutch braking is to get better track traverse, as we have 21.58 degrees a second on the track traverse, which is incredibly slow at turning. And that's with having the traction system and having clutch braking to help the track traverse out as much as humanly can do, because it is incredibly slow at turning. The mobility on this tank is terrible. It really is. Ground resistance is at 2.12, 1.2 and 1.01 on soft, medium and firm respectively. Is okay. It's not terrible. It's not great. It will make the tank feel even more sluggish, but generally the bad horsepower, the bad horsepower per ton ratio generally makes it feel like that anyway. You got 512 meters of view range, which means actually you can spot for yourself quite well in this vehicle, which helps you to stay not getting, well, it helps you to not get outspotted all that easily in this tank, which is a really nice thing for it. You've got 19.55 degrees a second on the turret traverse, which is really slow again. It's slower than the tracks, which can be pain. But honestly, you want to be able to turn the tracks as quickly as possible, because trying to get this tank with its armour turned to the right angle can be really irritating with how slow it is. And yeah, it's got that super heavy turret traverse where it's just not the greatest. We've got 0.4 accuracy during rotation, with a 1.52 accuracy during movement on this tank, which is without the gun stabilizer, and is absolutely fantastic, to be perfectly honest with you, without the gun stabilizer. And it means that this gun doesn't bloom out much at all when you're moving, and when you come to a full stop, you've got 2.85 second aim time, which is very long. But to be honest, you don't really feel it, because that is as big as your aim circle will ever get. It's tiny. So you don't need the gun stabilizer, and the 0.4 accuracy, during rotation, and movement with the crew skills, just having the crew skills on, is really, really good, and all you really need on this vehicle, and it is a really big, strong point for the vehicle, because that means you can help it out by taking other stuff. You've got 7 degrees of gun depression, which can be a bit awkward at times, to be honest, but generally it's awkward because you are a very, very tall tank, but it's still pretty usable. It's not the greatest, it's not the worst. You got 0.29 accuracy at 100 meters, which for this kind of gun is pretty damn accurate, to be perfectly honest. With a 14.5 second reload, that's 2.9k DPM, nearly 3k DPM on a 700 alpha gun, which is absolutely immense, to be perfectly honest. With 245 penetration on the standard AP, 332 penetration on the premium APCR, and 85mm of penetration on the HE, which has 890 alpha. So when you pen things with HE, oh, they know about it. But you've got 700 alpha, and having that penetration on the standard and premium, and especially the premium APCR pen, that is really, really good. With 945 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, and 1015 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR, so the shell velocity is below average on the standard and slightly above average on the premium, which means you still have to give a good amount of lead to hit your shots at any distances with this tank, so bear that in mind. You've also got this secondary Rogal Dorn auto cannon as well, which, like I say, is a 90mm gun in caliber, and has the 182mm of penetration on the AP round, which it only gets one standard. It takes 2.03 seconds to aim in, and its accuracy during rotation and movement is fairly similar to the standard gun as well, so it doesn't bloom out much at all, with 0.3 accuracy. You've got 26.25 second reload on that clip as well, which is very, very slow for that kind of autocannon, but for the, what should I say, for that sort of autoloader, is what I should say. But the fact is, you've got a big gun that compensates alongside it, and it's just, like I say, when you catch things out, you just trash vehicles. A lot of the time, they will get one shot, maybe two into you by the time you've taken their whole hit points. The damage capacity of this thing in a single one-on-one brawl is absolutely insane. And that's part of what makes this tank, to be honest, pretty overpowered. It just is. When you use the double barrel is good, but it's not great. It's got absolute meme value at double barreling, but generally as a weapon system on the vehicle, it makes the tank sort of, yeah, it's alright. This tank, with this gun setup, makes it absolutely bonkers. It really does. The damage is utterly insane. But as with every tier 10 premium tank, you don't have, well, I say every tier 10 premium tank, every tier 10 premium tank that's not a black tank, you have absolutely no silver bonus, tank XP bonus, etc., which means you're paying for 17,000 gold for a tank for no bonuses, and that, like I said, that's super duper expensive. But we finished that first game with 5.3k damage, the 1132 base XP. That was, to be honest, a pretty average battle for the Rogal Dorn at tier 10. And that is that you trundle about the battlefield for about 10 years, feeling like you take forever to get to the fight. But when you do get to the fight, you just trash any tank you come against. But like I say, with the armour on this tank, it's not like the Lehman Russ, which is super frustrating to pen, where you can shoot it in the same place twice, and for some reason when you're firing premium, it either doesn't pen or it does. But then when you're playing the Lehman Russ, it's super frustrating as well, because you feel like you've got loads of armour, and then all of a sudden, you don't have anything at all, and you sit there going, but how are they penning me so easily, right? But your gun isn't as good on that vehicle. The gun is very derpy and can be a right pain on the Lehman Russ, compared to this vehicle, where the gun is insane. But yeah, in terms of taking this thing out, you want to shoot the cupolas. The two cupolas that you can see right on top of the turret, they're very easy to pen. You want to hit those. And like I say, the lower plate is also a spot you want to shoot. Also, by the way, don't text and drive like I was, because you also end up driving like an idiot. But yeah, so you want to shoot those spots. And like I say, when you're shooting the lower plate of the Rogal Dorn, do not shoot the lower section. Shoot the highest section of that lower plate as you can, and that's where you'll do the damage on this tank. And like I said, I point that out if you go watch the tank review from back in the day when it came out as well. I say back in the day, it was what, a year ago, something like that, maybe. I'm not quite sure. How long has tank's been in the game now? It's been in quite a while. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on the Rogal Dorn? Well, on Mr. Rogal Dorny, I do run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Trap Mechanic, Clutch Braking, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Advanced Loader, the Optics, and the Traction System. Traction system, not for the top speed, but for the track traverse, alongside the clutch braking to get us up to that 21.58 degrees a second track traverse. All 3 gun perks to make sure that this gun is as good as possible and that we do not need the gun stabilizer. Optics to be able to spot for ourselves so that if we do get out-spotted, we can spot our opponents pretty easily with it. And then the advanced loader to make the best out of the reloads on both this and the auto loader. This single shot, I should say, and the auto loader. As that is just the key strength of the tank. The key strength of this vehicle is by the time you get into battle, you want to be at the best fighting capacity you can have. Because the moment you do, you just can trash things super fast. And like I say, your damage goes from, oh, I've not really done anything, to all of a sudden, you've done loads. And that is what it's like for the Rogal Dorn. Like I said, there's plenty of ways you could set up this vehicle, though. You could quite happily drop Snapshot, because rotation, accuracy drone rotation is 0.4. That is already very, very good. You could drop the Snapshot quite easily and run something else like Armour angling to reduce the amount of damage coming into the tank. Anything like that. It's really down to you and how you want to play this vehicle. So, with Mr. Rogal Dorn, we're in this second replay. In the second replay, we're here on Kasserine. And on Kasserine, what I've come to do is fight in this valley. Why? Because I can keep everything directly in front of me. I can just trundle into their faces and then dish out the damage. But so far, we've had a very bad time of aiming our shots, number one. We've had a bit of bad luck with some of the shots hitting the cheeks of a T-57 Heavy and it just going, I could pen that, or I could bounce. And you sit there going, why? But why? We can pen a T-57 Heavy in the cheeks with 182mm of penetration. Also, that poor tank next to me lost his head. But yeah, you can pen that with 182mm of penetration, but you've got to hit the exact right spot. We do have the premium loader, though, because with 332mm of penetration, we can go through an IS-7's upper plate when he starts to angle like he is. If I'm firing the AP, though, I will struggle, because even at the angle that he's at, his lower plate will become a struggle for 245 penetration, because he was angling it. He was doing the right thing. He was angling his tank correctly. But as soon as I load the 332 pen, it doesn't really matter. So you see the auto cannon there. Beautiful shot straight through the turret cheeks of that T-57 Heavy, finishing him off. We put a shot through the side of the E4 with the snap from the big gun, which, if you were wondering as well, the caliber of this big gun is a 150mm gun. Back when this tank came out, you couldn't tell, there was nowhere to see, but now if you look at the ammo types and where you go sort out your ammo, it actually tells you there now. But yeah, so 150mm gun, so there's a lot of plates you can actually overmatch with this gun, taking on any of the Swedish TDs, for example, or going through some turret roofs and stuff like on Tiger 2s, etc, etc. So, this game's gone badly. This game's gone badly. We've lost both the top sides of the map. E3 is coming after us. We've managed to keep this guy pinned and tracked, waiting on the reload, because hopefully we'll be able to get him gone, because I knew I was never going to pen an E3 with my autocannon, so I just fired them at his tracks, tried to keep him pinned, stop him from being able to advance at me, and then I could just keep waiting on my main gun to be able to reload and pen him. 245 pen again on the standard AP was never really going to do anything. Oh, beautiful, beautiful blind shot. Yeah, it was never going to do anything to an E3, so we had the premium rounds in again, because we're just, yeah, not going to pen an E3 with 245 pen unless he gives us his side. 332, though, can just about go through the lower plate. We got a nice snapshot into that T95 E6, who shot us a minute ago. Oh, the gun derps there, so we don't hit the general. And I decided, okay, we've lost. We've lost. I know I'm going to have plenty of tanks coming up behind me. I'm going to be in a horrible crossfire. So you know what? We're just going to push towards our base and see if we can get any more cheeky shots anywhere else. See if we can spot the general up if he decides to come after us. If not, we can just try and reset the cap and get a little bit extra out. But we are way too slow to do it, so we're never going to make it realistically, because this is the pain of Rogal Dorn. If the battle gets away from you, you just don't keep up. But as you've seen, Mr. SU 130PM gets spotted. Hello, Mr. SU 130PM. We put a big shot for 774. Auto-loader shot through him as well with the multi-weapon system, the quick switch, and that put us on to 8.2k damage with 337 assistance. That game was the perfect indication of what this tank is like. 8.2k damage, 337 assistance, sorry. Blocked 5.5k because they just kept shooting the wrong spots generally. because they kept shooting the upper plate for some reason. I don't know why. That was the perfect example. We got to the front line in that middle area. We managed to fight the I-7 and T-57 Heavy. We flapped a little bit, to be perfectly honest. We flapped. Took too long doing it because of badly aimed shots. But it took us a while to get there. And by the time we'd won our fight, the team had died. And then we're just too slow to get back to do anything else. But every single tank that came to fight us, one-on-one, died. And we managed to do 8.2k damage. Because Rogal Dorn. And that is the answer. Because Rogal Dorn. If anyone says, how did you do that much damage to the Rogal Dorn? You just answer, well, it was Rogal Dorn. That's it. Because the capacity to do the damage in this vehicle is just nuts. It really is. Look at the E3 when he was coming after us. We put a big shot through his lower plate. Tracked him. He kept going because he repaired. We tracked him again. We got ourselves back safe, waited for our reload, put a big shot through him again, finished him off. That's what it does. That's what it be like. And then any other tank that tried to come against us again, we just went, oh, look at that. Bang. T-57 Heavy did it. Got rid of him. Snapped a shot into an E4. You know? It's just what Rogal Dorn does, because this gun, for a 150mm gun, is stupidly good. It really is. Which is why I'm just showing you this big gun and multi-weapon system autoloader. Because while the double barrel is... The double barrel is quite fun, to be honest. It's got absolute meme-worthy value. You just meme along double barrel things. You can double barrel for nearly 1,000 each time you do it if you hit the shots. Bear in mind, you've got to hit the shots because it's the same gun that you get on the Lehman Russ. Its penetration on its standard is a little bit low. Premium's alright, but again, it's not as high as this tank is with its premium. And then the accuracy is also, it feels far derpier than this gun does as well, which can be a bit annoying. And it's probably the more balanced version of the tank to play, if we're honest. And this is just flat out the best way to play the tank, just because the damage capacity is just insane. And that's what's going to happen in this game, because we're playing on the map that I detest playing on. I hate Province. Province is just not fun to play on for me, personally, because it ends up in a campfest. And that is, in my Rogal Dorn, I decided not to go across the BC line. Why? Because I'm in a Rogal Dorn. I am too slow. Too slow to go across the BC line. So all I can do is go down the 8-9 line. But if I advance down the 8-9 line, generally, you come to an impasse. Like where we are now. We're stuck. Absolutely stuck. And that is a sad time for us. Because all we can do is keep poking out, hope we get some shots. And that's all we can do. And hope we don't get shot from the other side. Because realistically, all we can do is keep poking, hope we spot our enemies on this flank, and then hope that our team pushes up the 2-3 line. Because there's nothing else we can do. This is our position now. This is where we're stuck. This is our life. This is my life now in Mr. Rogal Dorn. Because I can't advance, because if I advance up between any of the next set of buildings, I put myself in an awkward position where I can get shot really easily by the guys at J9, or anyone that's hauled down at J8. And I'll drive out sideways on for any of their team, which is quite a few, by the way, that are camping at H3. And the only time I can do anything is if I can shoot the guys at H3 if my team progresses down the other flank. And it's completely dependent on whether the team do it or not. So you basically just have to sit and wait. And that's what we're doing. We're just sitting in my position and waiting. We've only got 1,335 damage so far. So we've not really done anything. But their team's starting to get spotted on the opposite flank because they're pushing. The problem is, obviously, people are very reluctant to push on the other spawn. Because while my team is now pushing along that flank, they are also starting to get shot by the people that are stopping me from advancing here at J8. And they can stay safe and not get spotted by me as well in that regard, which, yeah, is a bit frustrating, but there we go. We're up to 2.3k damage with 1173 assistance damage, and I've just pulled back while I was spotted to get myself safe. Got to be careful being behind that wall, because as you can see with how tall we are, they can see my cupolas over the top of it. But we did manage to get a couple of shots into a Ho-Ri and the E50, and now again, I'm just waiting for my team to spot the guys up that might be within render range of me. And there's the Chaug, Mr. Chaug, Mr. Chaug, Mr. Chaug. Does whatever a Mr. Chaug does, which is probably going to die at any second now, because Chaug's surrounded. And Tank can only do what Tank can do. So we're just waiting, because that's all we can do. Yeah, it's all we can do at this point. I don't want to push too aggressively because I need to wait for my team to win that flank, kill the guys over there, and then I can spot these bros, and these bros will get shot and give me assistance damage. But my team's starting to push aggressively, and I think, you know what? Okay, screw it. I'm bored. I'm very bored. I'm going. If I go now, hopefully their team either will be distracted, or I can spot up their campers, and my team will start farming them up and feeding me assistance damage. So we've got the side of the IS-7. The multi-weapon system here, the little 90mm autoloader, can pen the side of an IS-7 because it's got 182mm of penetration. And just like that, Mr. IS-7's gone. We snapped the shot from the big gun into the T-54. We're up to 1964 assistance with 4.5k damage. Just trying to see if I could see a shot into the Hori, because if the quicker that guy dies, the more help I'm going to get. The M48A5 pattern is starting to try and put pressure on, but we do actually have shots at the side of the VZ55. And what I'm trying to do is proxy spot a little bit. If they push a little bit aggressively to try and look at shots at me or look across the way, I should hopefully proxy spot the guys as they do it. So that's why I'm trying to stick as close as possible to that ridgeline next to me. We put a shot into the M48A5, tracking and penning him. Tried to finish him off with it, but the VZ55 comes over. He gets tracked. Just trying to get back into a position where I can get the gun down. Using the multi-weapon system. Should have used the main gun, which we do. Put a big shot into the side of that VZ55. Go for the auto-aim shot, though, which is not going to work. The Centauros come down after us. This is all working perfectly because these guys are giving up their very good positions to attack. Which means that I'm going to be getting spotting on these dudes every single time they do it. Mr. T-54's next, but he's giving himself sideways on to my team across the way. It's feeding me all of the assistance damage, and he's dead to the E4. And we're up to that 6.6k damage mark with 3.3k assistance. Just like that. Like I said, the damage went from 0 to 100 very, very quick. And we're finished with the victory. 1 kill, 6.6k damage. 1677 base XP. A really great game there for the Rogal Dorn, which was, yeah, about, what, 9, nearly 10k combined. With the Steel Wall, the Confederate, the First Class, with that 1677 base XP. And that's the Rogal Dorn. A pretty bonkers tank when you use the setup that we've just done. But 17,000 gold is a hell of a lot of gold. And I'm not sure I could ever recommend that, personally. But there you go. That's the video for those that will ask about the Rogal Dorn. It's a tank that exists from the Warhammer 40k universe, and it's pretty mental. It is what it is. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!